Mind's always looking for something to happen. And what you're left with is this irrational and intangible sense of emptiness. There's this emptiness inside you that you just can't explain. You don't know why it's there. And you may have everything you need in life. Everything. All the money, all the riches in the world, but it still doesn't fill that emptiness. Do we genuinely think the richest billionaires in the world are the happiest people? So what's going on? The emptiness is the problem. So the mind has this emptiness that it created, and it now comes up with a process by which it can actually fill that emptiness. Remember, the emptiness is not real. I want to keep reminding you this. Remember, the emptiness is not real. It's actually just boredom of the mind. The mind just gets bored very easily. And in order to fill this boredom of the mind, it's come up with a process in order to fill that boredom. And it starts with calm. It starts with desires. It convinces itself that it needs something. It convinces you that you need something that you really don't. There's a really simple way to think about this. Think about a kitten, a small cat in a room, just getting bored. And then it sees a feather just floating around the room. All of a sudden, it's fixated on that feather. It didn't want the feather. It doesn't need it. But because it's bored, that feather is now the most important thing. It's like, I'm going to get that feather. So it just starts doing whatever it can to try and get that feather. The feather's just floating around minding its own business. This is what your mind does. It comes up with stuff to entertain itself, to keep itself occupied with. So this is where that impulse comes from. All of a sudden, you didn't know that you need something, but all of a sudden there's a desire. I really want this. And so from desire being the initial sort of that deep-rooted impulse within you that says, I just need something, I need that, there's a process and more emotions start getting involved. You know, these things are called the 5 thieves. They're not actually thieves. In fact, this is a sequential process. We think of these as 5 individual things, but they're actually a sequence that the mind goes through. It's a psychological process that we all go through. So you start with wanting something, whatever it is, you want it. Because you feel empty, that there's this emptiness that you haven't really bothered to look at. When you keep wanting it, and keep wanting it, and keep wanting it, and you don't get it, what happens? Frustration comes in. So from a desire, I want that, and it's not happening, it very slowly, gradually, without you noticing, moves from a simple desire that says, wouldn't it be nice to have that, into all of a sudden, I really need that. Like, why isn't that happening now? It just gradually moves into frustration, krodh, anger. And if that continues, and you just really want it, and it's just that desire keeps building, you now want it so much that you want it more, you think, than anybody else wants it. So it's now more important for you to get it than for anybody else to get it. If there was an option for someone else to get it, because you've been desiring it for so long, it becomes a greed. What does greed mean? Greed means I want it before you get it. I don't mind if you get it, but I need to get it first. That's an obsession, right? To want something more than others, before others, regardless of others. Like, if I have to get it and that person doesn't get it, I don't mind. So from desire, it moves to frustration and anger. And if it continues, it moves to greed. I really must have it. very slowly it starts becoming an obsession. More. Like, I must have it. So finally you get it, right? And then you just hold on to it really tight. Like, finally, I got it. And he's showing everyone, yeah, look at me, I got it. You now build a bond with it. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, attachment. You build a bond with it. Hey, I've got it now. And the more and more things, the more and more times that you follow this process, I want this, I really must have it, I've got it. Once you get it, the more and more times you create that more, all of those attachments eventually build this sense of I. Who is I? I'm the person that has this, has those, lives in this family, has this, does that. All of these things becomes your identity. This is who I am. So the Panch Chor is a process that we all allow our minds to go through. And we've been doing this process every day since the day that we were born. And then you go on your spiritual quest, and everyone talks about your ego and your identity and who am I? And you say, where did this identity come from all of a sudden? I was just being a nice guy. I didn't hurt anyone. Where's my ego come from? It's come from Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Hankar. You got to do all the other steps and it just creates your Hankar slowly over time. From a very small child over time, you just build this identity of who you are. And now somebody has to point it out to you that says, you've been doing this since day one. You've built such a big fortress of identity around you. But that's the thing that's causing all of your problems. That's your dukh. So out of nowhere, you now have to deal with this. If you go on your spiritual quest, you now have to deal with this thing called ego. So the question is, why are there thieves? Why are they called thieves? Why aren't they just called emotions? What are they stealing? A thief has to steal something, right? Guru Amar Das Ji, the third Guru, on Ang 600, explains what they steal. Guruji says, Is dehi andar panch chor vasai. Within this body, dehi means body, is dehi andar panch chor vasai. 5 thieves exist. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankara. All of these 5. Amrit loote. They are stealing Amrit. Man mukh nahi boojhe. But while I'm facing my mind, I just don't understand that. I don't know my own Amrit because I'm just lost in the mind. I'm lost in the Panch Chor, so I don't understand that they're stealing something from me. Man mukh nahi boojhe. Koi na sune pukara. And because you don't know that they're stealing from you, nobody's listening to the fact that you're actually struggling. Koi na sune pukara. You're struggling with these Panch Chor. These 5 thieves are coming and just stealing from you, robbing from you, and you don't know. But you know that you feel a sense of struggle and emptiness and somebody just sort my life out for me, please. But nobody's there to listen to it. Amrit loote, man mukh nahi boojhe. But your mind doesn't understand it. The mind-facing person won't understand this. So they're stealing Amrit. They're stealing a divine essence within you. There's something divine within you and they're stealing it from you. Remember, where do these Panch Chor come from? They're self-inflicted. The mind, through evolution, the mind has created such a great system for itself that it allows itself to be so distracted. But because we've evolved in such a way, we've now evolved so far away from our beautiful essence, our divineness, our own holiness. So they're stealing your own Amrit from within you. They're not stealing some external Amrit. They're stealing the Amrit that's within you. But you can get it back. Guruji doesn't point out a problem and then say, tough. Better luck next time. The Guru says, no, we can sort it out. We can do it. We can fix this now. Because our minds have evolved, because our consciousness have evolved, we can use that to our advantage. Within our own consciousness, we can experience our Amrit. So, what is this Amrit? What is this divine Amrit inside us? Isn't that the million-dollar question? How do we feel it? How do we get there? The first thing is to know the problem. You need to know the problem. Then you need to know, what does the solution look like? What is the alternate option? Option A, I've been living with this one. What is the other way of living? Is there another way? Because pretty much all of us live with our desires, with our anger, with our greed and all these sort of things. What's the alternative? The alternative is to replace the 5 vices with 5 virtues.